He's going to stay a few weeks out. I don't know how long, but it's not that serious. We have to be careful with him. He's going to recover. He's doing the recovery. He's feeling better. So in a few weeks, I expect to have Ben.
How's the rest of the squad looking ahead of the game on Monday? Is Mainu and Maguire? What's the situation?
Maguire is not ready. Kobe didn't train today, but I think tomorrow we could see Kobe. So we'll see.
Sam?
Do you know roughly when Benjamin is going to be back, and will that kind of cut across when Ahmad and Brian go to the African Cup of Nations?
I think it's going to be more or less at the same time. I don't want to say for sure, but when they are going to the CAN, I expect to have Ben back.
Have you been told yet when those three players will go to?
No, we have the rules. When we have to release the players, we will see. We are doing our job to try to maintain the players a little bit longer, but it's not just in our hands. We need to respect that, but we will try to do everything to protect the club, protect the player, and protect the national team.
When is it that they're supposed to?
I think it's 2 weeks before the start. So we'll try to arrange something with the federations, but we need to respect their wills in this case.
Are you concerned then for that Wolves game that you won't have everyone available?
Yeah, it's a concern, but we already knew, and there's an opportunity for other players. We have also the under-21s. We need to send also a message in that time. So we'll see. But of course, it's not ideal because they are so important in our team, and we don't have a long squad. But again, our academy is for these moments, and we'll be ready.
You only face 3 top 10 teams in the next 10 games. How much of an opportunity is this run of games for you?
It doesn't matter. In our league, it doesn't matter. The table, it doesn't matter. Everything is so tight that is irrelevant. And if you know the history of our team, you never know where is the difficult game. So that is completely irrelevant in Premier League.
Afternoon, Ruben. Saw Lisandro Martinez in training again this morning. Just wonder how close is he to being match fit? And also, I'm just curious, could you see him as an option in midfield potentially going forward?
I can see. I think a smart, intelligent football player can play in a lot of positions, but it's not the right position for him. He needs more time to work there. He's not working there. But in one emergency, he can play. But no, I'm not thinking about that. I feel that Liche is becoming close to be ready to play. Of course, we need to be careful. He's going to struggle in the first minutes, but he's clearly in the better position if you compare 2 weeks ago.
And just wanted to ask you about another player in his position. In terms of Luke Shaw, when the likes of Mazraoui and Ahmad go away for AFCON, do you see Luke Shaw as a possibility to play left wing back? He's mostly played as centre back for you.
He can play there. Of course, is the load that a player does in that position is a little bit different. And if you are doing that in a daily basis, it is more prepared to do that position. But of course, he can play there. He's a smart player and is fit in the moment. So I think he's an option.
I know you've been asked about anniversaries a lot recently, but on Monday it's a year since your first game. What do you remember about the build-up to that Ipswich game? Obviously coming to a new country, trying to get the players to learn a new way of playing in 2 or 3 days. It must have been very hectic.
Yeah, there was everything really fast. The first thinking was like the first game, the environment is completely different of Premier League, and I was excited with that. Right away, I knew that we will struggle in some things, but was that feeling of yes, he's the best league in the world, is maybe the best club in the world, but at the same time, it's a big job and is going to require a lot of work.
And when you look back at what you saw on the pitch at Portman Road a year ago compared to what you would expect to see at Old Trafford on Monday, there must be massive differences in how the team are playing, the way they behave.
Yeah, I think we are showing that, but the important thing is that doesn't matter what we did in the recent games. We cannot forget that we start in that point. We suffered a lot last year, so we have to take that in account and to play every game like it's the last one or the first one. But of course, if you ask me, I expect a team with more control, more dominant, playing a better football, and the most important thing, more competitive in every way.
Well, Darren, things are going right for Manchester United, aren't they? 5 undefeated for the first time under Amorim.
Because you know what I'm going to say. They are the team you simply cannot trust. Don't be misled by the 5-game unbeaten run. That's the minimum from what is a superpower that you should expect. I think every game they play in, you'll get an opportunity. You would fill your boots against this Manchester United side. And you'd have room in your pockets as well. Yes, going forward, they're better. Yes, they create stuff. I think they've conceded 2 goals in each of their last 4 games. And they always leave the back door open. They always leave this. So if you play them, just go down the side entrance, the back door will be open. They'll always give you an opportunity. That run is so, what's the word, the phrase? It's so unrepresentative of where they are, because they've either been hanging on in games, they've been gifted goals, and they've been up against teams that have suddenly woken up in the second half, like was the case against Brighton. Yeah. They've been lucky in some moments as well. I do not look at what they've done in this 5-game run and think at any level that they've turned a corner. They did their best to throw this one away.
But earlier in the season, or perhaps last season, they would have thrown it away.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, but that is a small crumb of comfort. I look at this.
He's not having any of it.
Well, no, because they're up, for example, against an Everton side that are well organised, that can score goals, that can hurt you down the sides, that have players down the middle who can take advantage. With this, Spurs did what Spurs still have in their locker at the moment. They self-destructed. But I think as far as Everton are concerned, Everton under David Moyes in particular, who will be up against a side obviously who, for him it might well be some time ago, but you don't know how he might feel about it. He had a short spell at Manchester United, didn't go well, but now we're seeing a very different David Moyes and we're seeing a very different Everton as well. I think Everton take points off them.
But I think, Jules, what you're saying, you're saying there's still been a massive improvement in Man United.
Massive?
I think because of the side. I think when you look at Mbeumo and Cunha,
massive?
Yeah, I think they're two big signings. Big signing. Maybe not massive in terms of I don't know, performance, but going forward, last season I'm watching games and it looked like I was like, they don't even look like they're going to score. But now I feel like it's different.
Yeah.
I think massive? I think now, in terms of going forward, it seems different. You know, sometimes you watch teams and you think, okay, I can see what you've worked on all week, or the patterns, and you can see it. But like you said, without the ball, they would always give you something. Yeah. You know, you could always score against Man United. But going forward with Mbeumo and Cunha, they're 2 big signings.
It's the big difference from last season, the massive difference from last season.
Massive,
they
huge.
have goals in this team now in Brian Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha. But what about Benjamin Šeško? He was injured in that game against Spurs. How much are they going to miss him?
I mean, if you spoke to him, he'll be disappointed, because as a centre forward, when you go to a big club, Man United, you wanna score goals, and I think he's only got 2 Premier League goals. No, you're not going to be happy with that. You know, when you look at and 1 assist, you look at some of the great names that have played for Man United, the goal scorers, and you know you want to go there and score goals. But you know, at times, he's the focal point and he'll hold the ball up. He didn't start against Tottenham, and I remember saying, for a centre forward, you'd be disappointed not to start. Yeah. But the good thing about being a centre forward is you can come on and change the game. And I remember he come on and he had his chance, and it just didn't seem like he was ready. Like we spoke about Haaland before, about the foot patterns, the first touch and staying, you know, your heart rate going low and then finishing. He had the chance and he ended up getting injured because I don't feel like he was ready, and that's just how he's gone for him at the minute. But
the handing back to you, I think when you think about the strikers that United have had, Cole, York, Tevez, Van Nistelrooy, Rooney, I mean, that is a Hall of Fame in itself. Yeah. And by comparison, Šeško either hasn't come with the body of work beforehand and hasn't produced anything like the quality that those guys and the consistency that they were able to produce. And that really is showing itself in the lack of goal return, isn't it?
And listen, the names that you just mentioned, they probably getting more chances because they're playing better teams. So in games, they may be getting 2 or 3 chances. This guy's maybe getting 1, but the one chance you get, you have to make the most of it. And I just felt like when he came on against Tottenham, he had his moment. He had that chance.
What could he do better, Jim?
I just felt like when you watch it back, the first touch is too straight. I think you have to have that awareness where you go through and goal, you have to move it a little bit, take the ball off the line. If the defender's on this side, you have to take the ball off the line to allow you to give you a little bit of time to finish. Whereby if it's too straight, the first touch, then the defender can just get his legs round. Whereas if you take it off the line a little bit, the defender can't touch you. Then all you got to do then is just go and finish. And if you miss the chance, at least you've missed, but you're making the right decisions. And for me, that was his chance, and he missed out on that.
Yeah, I know that Darren was saying that Everton are a very different side and they're a lot more organised, but their problem is goal scoring. Just 12 goals in their 11 games, and certainly the front 2 in Beto has 1 Premier League goal, Barry has none.
Yes, and it's the reason why they are among the teams who are sniffing around Ivan Toney, who is in the Middle East, but there's some suggestion he might be interested in a move back to the Premier League because I think the creativity behind a striker at Arsenal, at Everton, thinking about North London derby, the creativity behind a striker, I think is there, absolutely. But in terms of a Jermaine Defoe, they don't have one. They don't have somebody with that ice in his veins to be able to put the chances away. And thank you for playing someone putting the chance away just as I said that.
yeah. But it's interesting you say that, though.
Yeah, just looking at where else the goals are coming from in this.
It's difficult, because that's an amazing goal. But I went to they played the game against West Ham at home, went to the game. And it's funny, though, because you could hear, it was quite interesting when you finished playing and you're sitting amongst the fans and you can actually hear what they're saying. And a lot of the fans were actually saying that, God, we've had a number 9. Because you see Everton sometimes, they're solid, hard to beat, hard to play against. And like you said, they've got players that can make the difference, that can allow the centre-forward to get chances. But, they just... I hate to criticise centre-forwards, because I know how difficult it is, but they just don't look like they're going to score enough goals.
Well, the phrase "a game of 2 halves" is exactly right for Manchester United this season. Take a look at this. Their combined score in the first half of matches is 11-4 up, but a very different story in the second half of matches this season, where their aggregate score is 14-8 against them. Some might say a few Man United fans just clutching at straws for that first half stat there. But nonetheless, a really interesting one. I mean, how much do you read into things like that, Julian?
No, I think it's very important. I think the data just back it up completely as well. We will talk about Casemiro after. Casemiro never plays 90 minutes, pretty much. And when he comes off, you can see that it's just not the same. I don't think he can play 90 minutes at all anymore at his age. But they clearly suffer when he's not on the pitch anymore. And I think physically they also suffer as a team, and that's why their level clearly drops after the hour mark.
I got a theory on why they drop off, because the manager makes too many changes, unnecessary changes, changes the centre-backs. Who changes the centre-back when it's all going well? No one. You normally, in the years gone by, you have a goalkeeper and you have 2 centre-backs and you don't change anything. But I think he messed around with it too much.
It's interesting, Julian mentioned Casemiro as well. Taking Casemiro off because I
can understand.
You can almost say the minute that he's going to come off, you know it's coming. Do you think it is down to a player like him?
Yeah, well, the experience what he's done, and he's second life for him, isn't it? I mean, he's come back. Everyone wrote him off, but he's a winner because he's capable and he's got the experience to lead and he knows how to win. I think it's helped him with having players in forward. It's helped everyone at Manchester United having Cunha and in Burmo there. And a goalkeeper now who can keep the ball out of the back of the net and dominate his area. But for me, this guy's a leader. I think he will be still there next season. I think they would try their best to try and keep him there. Put some legs, maybe Elliot Anderson, or not. Forest fans won't like me for that, but someone with legs around him. I think Bruno is in there. They seem to have a good relationship together. But you can't discard leaders, if he's a good teacher as well. If you've got guys coming through your academy, like they had Kobe Mainoo there, I thought, he's got a perfect person to learn off here. Yeah. It didn't materialise like that, but he's got to have the opportunity. Their academy boys cannot keep getting blocked up by bang average players, but you can't call that boy bang average. I mean, he's a winner, and the Champions League a serial winner at the highest order. So, look, he wins tackles, doesn't he? He's got an all-round game, and he's looking fitter this year. I'm not sure if he's just fitter or he's got better players around him. So, I think last year the ball, they win possession, they give it straight back, and he's having to defend all the time. Now they've got players who can take the other field, they can hold onto the ball, they can give him a little bit of a rest in front of the back four. So, I still think he's got value to Manchester United.
Do you think, though, he's at that point now in his career? He's 33. Obviously, when he first came in, he was on that huge money, huge deal, and yeah, it still is. But now that you're kind of seeing his importance, that resurgence, would you offer him a new deal? Maybe reduced terms?
Yeah, no, I think he's got 1 more year, right?
Yeah.
1 or 2 more years. You keep him. The fact that they only play one game a week.
You can't keep him on 300. I mean, it's a lot.
And they won't keep him on a new deal.
You
don't stay. He doesn't have to move.
Yeah. But the fact that they only play one game a week because they're not in Europe, obviously, after losing the Europa League final, is massive. It's for him because he could not play every 3 days, guaranteed. For Amorim, because finally he can work on the week leading to the Premier League game, which was not the case last season. He had games every 3 days. That's why the structure is a bit better. That's why Casemiro is better. Yeah. That's why the fitness is overall a bit better. They concede less shot, for example. They are a bit less under pressure. I agree with Tim, though. I think some of his substitutions is still a bit strange, almost changing for the sake of changing when he doesn't really need to. So they need to sort that out. But it's a bit better than it was last season. It could not be worse anyway.
Yeah, I think another player this season that has changed Man United massively is Matheus Cunha. Cunha has been fantastic. I know people will say, "Oh, Mbeumo's scoring all the goals. What about him? Talk about him." But both of them, yes. But there is something about Cunha that seems to just ignite something in Man United. And do you think he's going to become really important now with the Sesko injury?
I really do. Yeah, I think he's important anyway. I think he just something about him smells of a Man United player.
I know what you mean.
He's just an absolute swagger about him that. If they played with collars, he would have his collars up.
Yeah.
This guy's got the stardust. He's got the flavour to play for Manchester United. He's got that personality, that arrogance, in the nicest possible way, and he's certainly got the ability. I think if they put more players around him, they go in January, they go next summer. I think this boy potentially could be the new Eric Cantona. I really mean that. I think he's got the ability to go right to the top. Few misdemeanors when we saw him play for Wolves. Didn't like some of his antics, but you know what? He's not going to do that. He's not going to do that at Manchester United. He knows he's at the start of a real building process here, and I think he's on a perfect stage for himself.
Yeah, I had a large intake of breath when Cunha was referred to, probably a hero of yours growing up. Eric Cantona there.
My ears just he's
not that he's got a long way to
go. Of course.
No,
you mean that in that swagger, and you can see it in him.
Yeah, you can. I think he needs more goals, let's be honest. Yeah. I think he's good. He's probably better off the striker, but if Sesko is not there, he will play as that 9 and have Mbeumo and Ahmad or Bruno, whoever behind him. Or Mount, but I think he's probably better off that, like he was off Strand Larsen, for example, at Wolves, and that worked really well for him. But he can lead the line too. He's super smart. He's very good technically. He's got a bit of vice in him, clearly. But I still expect a bit more from what we've seen so far. I would have wanted him at the level of Mbeumo, certainly in terms of goals returns, for example.
Do you think he tries to almost do too much?
Yeah, I think so.
You know how Mbeumo, he'll collect the ball and then know exactly what I'm doing with it. Cunha, he wants to take on 2 players, then make the pass.
Yeah, I think that's part of his personality as well and his style, which, again...
But in time, he won't need to do that because they have players around him, because their recruitment's been very good over the last window. That's why they've improved. I mean, a manager couldn't do any worse than what he was doing. I think what Jason Wilcox and the recruitment team have done for him is brought him new players. Of course you're going to improve with the players, what they've given you in the window. It was inevitable.
Yeah. Two of the best players, two of some of the best players in the league last season.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
It could have gone anywhere.
We'll just have a look at some of the players then, the key FPL assets who are affected by the tournament. And there are some well-owned players there, certainly.
Yeah, there are. I mean, Senegal and Egypt are some of the favourites to go all the way. So, I mean, there's a lot of players from those countries, mentioned there. I think Morocco are the favourites. That's just Mazraoui, who's not on that list, but he's, very, very highly tipped to do well. So there is some key players. I think the key thing is you don't want to have too many of these players going into those top-up 5 transfers, because you're going to have to use those transfers to get rid of them. Whereas I think actually keeping those 5 transfers for longer, maybe even till when AFCON ends, which is going to be in Game Week 22, that might be the play.
Yeah, to get them back in. That is a different way of looking at it, to be fair. One of the players, of course, impacted by AFCON that will be heading to the tournament is Bryan Mbeumo of Manchester United, and he is the most transferred in player this week as well. The short-term fixtures look good for Manchester United too, Gianni, and he's got probably 5, we think, before he heads off to the tournament.
Yeah, and fingers crossed it could even be 6. So yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful here on Mbeumo. I transferred him in last week, and I saw managers thinking, oh, I can't transfer him in because then he's an immediate sell. But if he's going to go and get you big points in the next 5-6 weeks, don't worry about that extra transfer if he's going to outscore them.
And you're going to be given the transfer by the game anyway to move on from him if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I watch Man United and I just think Mbeumo is the focal point of that attack. And with Sesko out, even more so, even more reliance on Mbeumo. And look, there's good options there in the United attack. Bruno and Cunha are still good picks, but knowing Man United get a full week on the training ground with no European football, no EFL Cup this season now either, they just look fresh every weekend and their attacking numbers are really good. So even if you don't back United to win the football match, you're backing them to always score 2+ goals, and Mbeumo is one of the biggest beneficiaries.
Yeah, as when you look at the game at the moment, really, there's not many obvious midfield picks. Is he one of them?
I think he's the obvious one, and he's the one who I don't mind so much using a transfer for, then potentially using another transfer for a bit later on. I think particularly that West Ham game in a few weeks at home, I think that has real potential. Would it surprise too many people if you got a brace in that?
The form's there.
Yeah, exactly. And
certainly at home.
Exactly. I think exactly what Gianni said. I watched that Brighton game, and as a Brighton fan, it wasn't the most pleasant viewing, but I was worried about him in that game, and he delivered because he was just so direct. His running, the link-up play he's starting to build with Fernandes as well is starting to pay dividends. So he's the one where I think the fixtures are so good you can afford to take a bit of a punt on him.
Yeah, we've got a shot map as well, Gianni, just to underline how involved he's been in the chances for Manchester United. I mean, maybe ignore the one that hits the corner flag, but the rest of them look all right. And that's the last 5 game weeks, so it shows he's on form.
Yeah, and when you see these shot maps, you want to see shots in good high XG creations, and this
pretty
is
much all in the box.
Middle of the box, great, often on that left foot from the angle, and we know Mbeumo is a clinical finisher, and we know he overperforms his expected data. So if you're getting shot volume, you'll be getting goals from Mbeumo. And then he also comes with creativity. I don't think many associate Mbeumo with assist threat hugely, but this season his assist threat has been higher than Bruno Fernandes. He's got higher underlying data for assists than Bruno, and he's taken half the set pieces, he's taken half the corners, he shares these with Bruno. So you get the goals, but you're going to get the assists too.
Yeah, funny that, because I was just about to ask you, about the comparison with Bruno Fernandes. Gianni has highlighted some of the key things there, and I guess the expected assist, despite the fact that Bruno's created more chances, it's a higher quality of chance that Bryan Mbeumo is being involved in. More shots as well. The non-penalty XG is higher than Bruno Fernandes. He's cheaper. I guess the only thing is the fact that we have got AFCON to deal with, and Bruno Fernandes will take advantage of that whole fixture run that we saw a moment ago.
Yeah, I mean, I've been quite bullish on this the whole season. I think Mbeumo is a better option than Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
I've said it from the start. I mean,
why so much better, why so certain?
I think this chart just shows it. I mean, in terms of the XG, in terms of what I'm seeing on the pitch, in terms of that directness. I mean, what you've got with Fernandes is the penalties.
And missing them, though.
Well, yeah, exactly. if he can score them. I think they should probably start giving them to Brian going forward. But also the DEFCON, and that hasn't always been there with Fernandes. He's always up there, but he hasn't been quite hitting that threshold that the midfielders need of 12. So he's got routes to points, but when I watch the games, it's always Mbeumo that I fear most not owning.
What about the double up, Jack?
Yeah, price is a factor,
anyone you know
isn't
who
it?
might be considering that?
Yeah, I do. I look at the Man United fixtures over the festive run. I think their hardest game is Crystal Palace away in game week 13.
Yeah.
I'm free hitting in 13, so I can look at Man United's fixtures and just go, they are top of the ticker, especially if I take game week 13 out when I probably wouldn't be playing them on a free hit. So it just makes sense for me to move to double Man United. And whilst I think Mbeumo edges Bruno, and we've just seen the comparison, I think Bruno is still an exceptional option. And at the start of the season, there was 1 million between them. So it was like, OK, and with Mbeumo, you're going to save 1 million, and the numbers are similar. Now there's only 0.4 between them, and Mbeumo's had this huge price rise. Bruno's dropped in price, and now, both great value.
Would you double up? I mean, there's also Cunha. Ahmad, who's obviously got AFCON as well, but United's fixtures are great.
Yeah, I think, there's not a huge amount of midfield options that I like the look of, so I think the double up is on.
Yeah, OK.